the state, for our country, and the world we're trying to build. Thank you to all of the newly sworn in elected officials. Congratulations. I was comparing notes who we had to watch. For the governor and I, we were talking about, do we have to pay more attention to the lieutenant governor, especially when governors are out of town because they have all the power, or do we have to watch the AG, or is it the controller or treasurer? There's a lot of competition in politics, but I'm not here to talk about competition. I'm here to talk about leadership. And I'm not just talking about people in positions like the folks behind me, in positions of formal authority. I'm talking about the leadership that resides in each and every one of you. I think we're all here because you're all active. You're all engaged. You haven't fallen prey to cynicism, the fear and the anxiety and all that negativity out there. You wouldn't be here otherwise. You're by definition leaders in your own right. You decided to take the risk to be here, try to put yourself out there. You're spending the week here, learning, listening to one another, adding your voice, and connecting to a cause bigger than yourself. And so I just want to first acknowledge that and also honor that. But I want to reinforce it in the context of this larger experience. When I was your age, I made not a fatal mistake, but a mistake in terms of my mindset that I wish I'd go back and correct. I always thought you had to be something to do something in life. I always thought you had to have a title. I always thought you had to have a position in order to make a difference. I really believe that. When I was in high school, when I was younger, one day when I'm a city councilman, one day when I'm a member of a board of city, one day when I am mayor of Sanford, one day, if I ever become judge, then I can do something. I can achieve something. And then I started to get a little educated. And I started looking at folks in positions of formal authority, and they weren't all necessarily leaders. They had a position of leadership, but they weren't producing real results. And I started to look around, I started to look a little bit of history, and I started thinking about, as perhaps you do too, the people you admire most in life, the people you attach a mindset of leadership to. The people we, I think, collectively, the vast majority of us, regardless of our political stripes, would almost universally identify as leaders. Guys like Dr. King, guys like Gandhi. You're in California, guys like Cesar Chavez. You're an 80s kid like me, guys like Lockup Howell. I'll get to him in a minute. Folks out there like Mandela. That universally, I think we can all acknowledge and accept and point to as leaders. And it's interesting, because I started just thinking about it a little bit, and I was thinking, we're not every single year on Martin Luther King Day celebrating former President Martin Luther King. I started thinking, he didn't serve a damn day in office. Not one day in elected office. Yet he's one of the most transformative leaders that we identify with each and every day. We don't, on Cesar Chavez Day, celebrate former Governor Cesar Chavez. I do not recall Prime Minister Gandhi. Perhaps you do. And you think about Mandela, and you say, oh, well, hold on, Mandela was president. But that was just 4 short years. His leadership peak was that 20-plus years, when he interestingly shared the one thing that all of those other leaders shared in common at the peak of their influence: jail time. Just seeing if you're paying attention. And I say that not to inspire you to get incarcerated. Quite the contrary. But I think that's interesting. The peak of Mandela's influence was he's sitting there in a jail cell. It was his capacity for reconciliation, of course, in the Constitution that he formed as president of South Africa. How about those letters from Birmingham jail? Game changers, changed my life. And I'll give you a proof point of that in a minute. When I was mayor, I literally quoted from them, inspired by that. You think about these extraordinary leaders. They have the one thing every single one of you have in abundance. They may not have formal authority, but they have something much more precious and powerful, and that's moral authority. Everybody has the capacity to flow with the forces of life. You don't need to be something to do something. The most transformative leaders of our time, arguably, are people that didn't wait for positions of authority. They exercise their moral authority. The more you use your moral authority, the more abundant it becomes. The more you use of your formal authority, the less you have it. Selling down your vision, power, dominance, and aggression. The greatest leaders are empathy, care, compassion, collaboration, in abundance, bringing people together across their differences. That's where greatness resides. And all of you have that damn capacity. It's a simple fact. So I think it's special that we're here with all these fancy constitutional leaders and members of the Supreme Court. But that doesn't necessarily have to be your aspiration. That doesn't have to be your desire. But I hope, again, what connects us all is that aspiration and desire to be active citizens. Instead, I just joked with the governor. I said, here's my speech. And it was a blank page. I didn't bring one, but I wrote the word citizenship. I'm reminded of Justice Brandeis, who said, in a democracy, Brandeis said, the most important office is office of citizen. We need to talk about that more. We do. And citizenship's not just voting. It's everything you do after you vote. It's everything you do before we vote. It's everything in between the elections. And I think we've lost that. Democracy is tough. It's hard. You got to get engaged. You got to step up. You got to step in. And you got to be willing to take the hits. And this is the second thing I wanted just to communicate. When I was your age, I was scared to death of everything. I never would join a club that nothing like this. I would sit in the back of the classroom, could barely read, could barely write. And if you think I'm exaggerating, the reason I didn't come with a speech is I can't read a speech. It's a fact. You never see me read a speech. How the hell did I become governor? I can't read a damn speech. Some people say, well, it's obvious you can't do speech. You can't even give one. But the point is, I was struggling with dyslexia, which I still struggle. It didn't go away. But like some magical day, I turned 18, it's gone. It's incredible. I think I got, you don't even know what the SAT is, but some of you may not. I think I got 960 on my SAT. Don't tell them. I'm serious. I was really proud of that. It's like, that's amazing. Someone said you get 800 for signing your name on the math and English. I said, well, I did better than that. So I'm just giving you a profile of a guy who would never have confidence to be in a room like this. And as a consequence, I was scared of making mistakes because I was making them every single day academically. I was nervous, head down, sweaty. True. And something I wish I knew, and I didn't, is that, the secret of all success, I think it was Churchill said, was moving, like Churchill said something about success. I said, maybe I'll pay attention. He said, the secret of all success is moving from failure to failure with enthusiasm. I'm like, damn, that's pretty damn easy. At least the failure to failure. Enthusiasm part is the part I gotta get right. But it really got me thinking. Mistakes are a portal to discovery. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. This notion of failure, I know it's like every commencement speaker starts giving a speech about failure. Everyone rolls their eyes, that's so rote and cliche, but it's a fact. If you haven't done something, if you've never done something, well, I don't care what it is. And then few of us are ever good enough to be good at it. You're going to make mistakes, and that's okay. And so I guess I'm here to encourage not just your leadership, but in your position of leading, in that position of leadership, you're going to screw up. You're going to make mistakes if you're making a difference. You don't want to make a difference, no big deal. I don't think you're a leader. And so this notion of iteration, this notion of being resilient, this notion to have the capacity to make mistakes, learn from the mistakes, and move on. Let me give you a proof point. Right out of college, I started a small business. Again, wasn't going to like get my PhD or anything. Barely got through college, thank God for sports. Okay, that's a fact. It's the only reason I got into Santa Clara University. And I got out, I'm like, what the hell am I going to do? I'm not going to get to law school. I can't pass that LSAT thing they have. And I'll never be my dad, Mr. Smart Guy, who was a Stanford English professor, ironically. And then served on the California Court of Appeals for years and years. Judge Newsom, fancy, dishonor, like intimidating, all that stuff. And so I decided to open a small business. Inspiration, desperation. Again, that entrepreneurial energy. I think one of the gifts, any of you have dyslexia, congratulations, number one. That's so cool. And number two, you're likely to be, perhaps, not only you're a little different by definition, but you probably perhaps a little more creative. Probably see things a little bit differently. And so I realized that was kind of a strength, so I opened a small business. Opened this little wine store in San Francisco. And that wine store started to grow, about 20 little businesses, and about 700 employees. And I say that not to impress you, but to impress you by the point I'm trying to make. My third business was a little hotel, which I still have up in Lake Tahoe, right there in Palisades in Olympic Valley. It's an old motel built in 1959 for the delegates of the Winter Olympics. It was supposed to be torn down. Cottage cheese ceilings, old exposed sprinklers. And as a consequence, we didn't have the money for air conditioning. So during the summer, you had to keep the doors and windows and the hallways open. So I'm in San Francisco, where I'm living. They're up there in Olympic Valley. And I got this crazy call. It was like 1 or 2 in the morning from the engineer of the hotel. You do not want to get a call from an engineer of the hotel, because nothing good is happening. His name is Ludo. Still Ludo. He's not working with us. He's still with us, though. And Ludo starts by and goes, I can't believe this. Jesus Christ. I'm like, Ludo, you all right? What's going on? He goes, no, it's worse. I'm like, Ludo, what? He's like, it's just out of control. I'm like, Ludo, calm down. What's going on? He goes, there's fish. Catfish. I don't know what fish everywhere. I said, cats? You don't know fish. There's fish fins, there's eyeballs. They're everywhere. I said, fish eyeballs? Yes, in the hallways. They're strewn around. There's dozens of fish. I said, well, what the hell's going on? He said, that's just strange. He goes, no, it's worse. You know that guy you hired the other day? I said, who? He says, Bob. I said, Bob, the night clerk? He goes, yeah, that guy. You got fired. I said, what did Bob do? He goes, I'll tell you what he did. He goes, I want him gone tomorrow. I said, well, what did he do? He said, well, apparently Bob, this is what he told me, Ludo says he was getting all these complaints about mosquitoes. It's the summertime, and people were complaining as guests there were so many mosquitoes in the hotel. And of course, the mosquitoes are flying through because the windows and doors open. So on his own, he decided to go out and buy some catfish, because there are all these ponds around the hotel. And he figured, oh, that's where all the larvae is, and all the mosquitoes. And the catfish will eat the mosquitoes. And so he bought a bunch of catfish. He threw them in the ponds. And no sooner did he do that, he falls asleep. He's the night clerk. You know how these guys work. He falls asleep, and little did he know, all the raccoons got into the ponds and grabbed all of the catfish and got so excited and ecstatic they were running wild all throughout the hotel, ripping apart all the fish, and fish parts are all over the place. He said, Bob has to be fired. And I'm sitting there laughing. And I'm sitting there saying, no, Bob has to be promoted. And he didn't know what the hell I was talking about. And at the time, I didn't either. Why am I telling you that story? Because I love that story. Sums up my life, man. Sums it all up. You know what Bob did? Took responsibility. Wasn't his job. How many times I heard that in life? That's not a leader. Not my job. Not my position. That's someone else to deal with that. I'm just the night clerk. I'm not here to solve for customer complaints or problems. He took initiative. He recognized he has agency. And he screwed up. Yes. And he made a mistake. And you know what I did? True story. God is my witness. My mom's grave. I created a failure award in my business. And Bob got $500 bonus because he screwed up that month. And we have been promoting people that fail. In fact, we have an annual failure award for the biggest screw up in the company. And every month, January's failure comes up and they present, and then June's failure comes up and we compete. And all the employees vote for the biggest screw up in the company every year, and they get a big bonus and a trophy. Why am I doing that? Again, to reward initiative. You're not bystanders in the world. You have agency. You can shape the future. The future's not in front of you. It's inside of you. It's decisions, not conditions, that determine our fate and future. Society becomes, trust me, listen to this, Society becomes how we behave. We are our behaviors. And if that doesn't make sense to you, some of you from Southern California, this man. Have you ever been on the 405 freeway? All right, so you know where I'm going. There's a great billboard on the 405 that says you're not stuck in traffic. Like, what the hell is that? And about 45 minutes later, you get a little closer, maybe 20 yards later, 20 yards closer to the billboard, and you realize that in bold it said you're not stuck in traffic, but underneath it in parentheses it says you are traffic. You're not stuck in traffic, you are traffic. Society becomes how we behave. Everything happened in your life has happened on your watch. You own a bit of it. We all own it. Not someone else's fault. You have agency. You're not a bystander. You can shape the future. Use your moral authority to shape the future. Be willing to take risks. Have the courage of your convictions. Be authentic. Your voice is unique. No one else has it. Learn from, don't follow others. Please, guys, comparison is the thief of all happiness. You want to be happy? Anyone want to be happy in life? One of you? You just all want to be miserable and like doom scrolling. Turn on all those cable networks, right? And stop comparing yourself to everybody else. The hell is wrong with you? Learn from, don't follow others. Learn from. I'm a guy who's had the product. We have 250,000 employees. I don't care how much you know. Google knows more. ChatGPT even knows more than that. I care about what you're going to do with what you know. I care about your creativity, your problem solving. I care about your capacity to take responsibility, ownership, to feel, to do, meaning, purpose, mission. But I also care that you're you, that you're unique. I'm telling you that. The world doesn't need a lot of the same. And so please, 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 don't try to be like other people. Just be yourself, but learn from it. And then my final point. I'm rambling here. Well, I grabbed the mic so they couldn't take it from me and stood at the front of the stage. I just wanted just an expression of pride. You know, I know myself, when I did my inaugural, Mr. Governor, began, I am the future ex-governor of California. Meaning, humility to understand your status. We come and go. You're given a moment in time. Right? Don't dream of regret. And I also went on in that speech to make a point that I just want to make to all of you, because I'm looking at this room, and man, oh man, and forgive them. Man. And by the way, I'm the damn guy who signed the bill allowing boys and girls to be here in 2021. Acknowledge something. You guys, you just need to know this. How lucky we are to live in California. I know some of you guys, can't afford a house, homeless problem out of control. The governor's right. Why are you talking about fentanyl? What's going on at the border? I get all that. I get it. Trust me, I get it. I live every day. I get it. Big time. You want to walk with me? Jesus. I have like 18 security. But here's the point I want to make. And it's a point you need to make. This is the most diverse state in the world's most diverse democracy. It is the most diverse state in the world's most diverse democracy. We practice pluralism. If you don't know what that word is, look it up. We're a universal state. We don't, at our best, tolerate diversity. We celebrate our diversity. It's a point of pride. That's a big deal, guys. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. And how is it possible? How is it possible that one state, size of 21 state populations combined, can be the 5th largest economy on planet Earth? You know why that, of course, we're the damn best. And why? Eat your heart out, Texas. Eat your heart out, Florida. You're from Texas and Florida. Great states, but, There's something special about California. We get first round in vernacular sports, and my hero and friend who just died yesterday, Willie Mays. We get first round draft choices around the rest of the world. When I say a majority minority state, think about that. Think of what immigrants have done to California. Talk about all these innovations, things that you're holding up or in your hands, things you take for granted when you get home. The future happens here first. California is America's coming attraction. Point of deep pride and principle. More scientists, engineers, researchers, more Nobel laureates, more patents emanating from this state than any other state in the nation. Dominated in manufacturing and two-way trade and agriculture and forestry jobs. No one comes close. 35 of the largest AI companies on planet Earth, 35 of the 50 in the state of California. The number one market cap company on planet Earth, NVIDIA, the state of California, because of the state of imagination, that quality of imagination. And that's the final point. Acts of imagination. That's what Sarge Shriver, my political hero, said. Acts of imagination. It's that the willingness to live a life of adventure as opposed to embracing a life of ease. Courage over timidity. And so that's the spirit that defines, that entrepreneurial and innovative spirit defines your birthplace or the place you now call home, California. And so I want you to know that you have so many advantages in life. Not only are you here full circle, not only are you sharing your action and passion, not only have you stood up in a way that is the antidote to all the fear, cynicism, and anxiety out there, but you also live in a magnificent place that's the only state that's attached to a dream. There's the American dream, and there's the California dream. No other state attaches itself to the dream. But in closing, and I mean this, you guys, by definition, are the dream makers. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for everything you're going to do to make more gentle the life of this world. And thank you for remembering that all of us need to be loved, and all of us need to love.